Hi, I'm Lou Rosalia, and this is Crew Call. Yes, 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 you can still build your Teslas and listen to music, said Elon Musk. And that's what we're going to unpack today on this episode of Crew Call. Joining me are people with anybody have a Tesla? Friends? Joe, Sketcher Ferro?
There's a Tesla charging station not too far from me.
Close enough. Frank, any Tesla? You have a Tesla? Or?
I've been in one.
You have? I haven't. Gloss, anything in Tesla story?
I took an Uber home today from work.
Really?
That was a Tesla. Yeah, Tesla. It was a good time. Yeah.
So here's the deal. I read an article that Elon Musk answered an email just a couple of weeks ago, actually, from the Tesla factory, and everybody in the factory through their manager said, hey, can we listen to music while we're assembling these Teslas? He wrote back immediately. He said, absolutely. Why not? Not only did he do that, he also said to them, what else could I give me a list of anything else that I could provide you, any little thing that'll make coming to work more enjoyable for you. So I thought that was a really pretty cool subject, and it made me think about music and what role music plays in your work environment, and then what role music plays in your creative process, since they're kind of one and the same often. So Joe, I'm going to start with you. How or what role does music play in your physical work environment?
Depends where I'm physically working.
Okay.
In some places, it's the creation of music, so it plays a big part.
Yeah.
Some places, it's background music in the environment that we're working in, and so it's kind of everywhere in my world. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, I kind of make sure it is, because music has a massive effect on my my personal environment.
Right. Frank, in terms of personal environments and making sure there's music there or not, when you're building all that stuff, and I see your build outs with jitter and the robocams and all that, mm-hmm. I mean, it's got to take some time. Is there an intentional use of music? Are you just listening to whatever MSG might have, the garden has piped in, or did somebody bring a boom box from the 80s?
Definitely not a boombox, but a lot of the times if I'm building something, especially if it's like outside, or if I'm building a jib or something like that, not necessarily in an arena, but I'll bring my own Bluetooth speaker with me.
Okay.
Just because like Joe said, it kind of just having that background music. I don't know what it does subconsciously, but it just, I don't know, it makes things easier working. It's not like I'm necessarily putting on certain songs and like DJing, while I'm building, but just having some type of music to kind of, I don't know, make it all flow a lot easier. But if I don't have that speaker with me, or if I do have, like, a lot of inside of the arenas, like, there's a lot of things being set up. It's not just me, and usually the front of house audio is either testing their own stuff, or if they're already up and running, they'll just play. I mean, usually they'll just play music.
Yeah, I didn't
throughout
consider
the entire time anyway. So
I didn't consider that fact, that there is other audio, because it could be an audio gig like a concert, obviously. Joe,
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing like in sports, like when they're warming up, before a game, there's always music being played.
Right.
It's not like the players are putting on specific songs, but in any arena you walk into, it, when there's a lull in whatever's going on, there's music.
Joe, you had something? You were gonna?
Yeah, I was just gonna say what Frank just said. It's the house system is on almost all the time, and there's not an arena in the world or a stadium in the world that doesn't have a massive sound system. Mm-hmm. So it's not just when concerts are there, it's all the time. If you walk into the stadiums in the middle of the week when there's nothing going on, they blast music constantly. It's always up.
Why? Is there a reason?
Because there's always house people, utility people working, and they just turn the music on. It's literally their room, so they just turn it on and it plays.
Yeah, you forget the stadiums are never really empty. I mean, I remember driving home. I lived by Shea Stadium, now City Field,
Shea
and I
Stadium.
remember after games, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and the lights are on, and there's people in there sweeping up, and I'm like, wow, that's got to be a crazy gig being in that place that late.
Yeah.
So yeah, music could play. Klaus, your environment and music, you're editing often with urban visuals, so you're sitting at your edit station, your edit suite. If somebody walked in, what are they hearing? Is there?
It depends on where I'm at in the edit.
Mhm.
So let me explain. If I'm if I'm starting an edit and I already have a song picked out and I'm editing to that music, number one, they
Right.
wouldn't hear anything because I'll have my headphones on all the time. And I'm also right here where you see me right now. So it's literally my bedroom where I edit most projects. And it'll be the song that I'm editing to. And most times it won't just be playing. It'll be listen to a little part, edit, go back. Listen to the same exact part, edit, go back. Listen to the same part, edit, go back. And then that song gets stuck in my head for weeks and weeks. But if I'm color correcting or if I'm doing something that doesn't have music in it, then I will play a background song just because I don't like sitting in silence while I work. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people like to listen to music when they're working because I don't know, it adds element of it kind of takes you out of work a little bit. You know, you're maybe dancing to the music or singing. I would be singing,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
just feels like fun. You know, but yeah. So I guess it depends on where I'm at in my edit and what exactly I'm doing.
So music in the environment. I want to tell you guys a story. I just thought of this. Do you guys know any surgeons that tell the story of being in their operating room?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
Right? And the music is just like death metal. That's the most crazy stuff they're listening to doing hip replacements. I'm like, wow, you're an orthopedic surgeon. He says, yeah. If you ever saw the tools we use for some of these surgeries, it's like almost craftsman drills and like it's
Yeah.
it's crazy stuff. He says, so we need some serious music to keep it going. But
I'll give you a
anyway,
crazy sidebar punctuation to that. Triple S actually has built sound systems in many surgical environments.
really,
Yeah.
I'm putting a
Never
note
knew
down
that.
because we're going to talk about that one. That's a good one. Um, let's leave the music and the environment and let's talk about music and the creative process. So forget about background music, but it may be, but more importantly, Joe, how do you individually use music as part of your creative process, if it isn't, in fact, as you said, the actual creative process?
It's my primary creative juice. It's everything. It creates environments, it creates thought, it creates emotion, it changes my emotion depending upon what I'm doing. A lot of times, if obviously I do a lot of writing, so I have like new age music that plays for a while. But if I need to amp up to do something, I'll put on, you know, I go through the gamut of music. So I use music constantly as a palette for everything I do. Everything I do. Even when I'm raking leaves
Yeah.
in my yard, I have music on that helps me do that.
That's awesome. Remember the old summer mixtapes we used to make? You did your cassette, you'd have handwritten summer of 1993 mixtape. Beat music. Yeah, back in the old days. Frank,
Yeah.
is music something you use to create when you're doing stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't do a lot of stuff like work related or used to not like
Mhm.
through my computer or
Right.
with my computer using that as a tool. But then in the past 2 years, like helping, develop the build out of like FerroCity, that whole website. Um, I mean, that was like I'm sitting here exactly like what Claus was saying. I'm sitting in this room, and I'm not going to sit in silence. And I would just put on, even if it's something I'm not like singing along to it or whatever.
Mhm.
A lot of the times I put on like lo-fi beats or something that doesn't have lyrics. Something you can kind of just, I don't know. I guess you're subconsciously just kind of like grooving to it, and that just kind of comes out through what you're doing, work-wise. But then as far as like being somewhere physical and using the music to actually move the way I would operate a camera or something like that. Like I just did something, another like ESPN boxing out in Vegas, and
Mhm.
we had to land on like we were starting a shot with like a build up of a song, and we needed to land while the song was like dropping to like a really amped up part. But it was also we were also following the music and a lighting cue that was in the entire arena. So it was like we were kind of lifting up on the jitta, and like as the song dropped, we were like swooping down into the ring. So I mean, it was, if you got to be able to feel all of that to accomplish that same, you know, visually, audio, and visually in camera, visually with the lighting, and then, you know, feel that in the actual like music that's playing. So then you have that whole.
For anyone to answer, have you guys ever been in a situation where music has been a real distraction? Like, oh God, this thing is just so grinding. I can't even do my job right now.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you just had to answer. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's certain times, like I was saying, it's an emotional thing for me. So if I'm somewhere and I'm trying to, let's just say I'm trying to level down my adrenaline, and I need to get to a different place, or I need to really concentrate on a focal point, and I've got some driving metal or hip hop, something screaming right next to me, it's too distracting for me. I mean, I've learned over the years, because being in recording studios, you learn to shut out noise.
Yeah.
So, but I have to mentally remember to turn that off, because it is massively distracting when it doesn't match what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So let's talk about part two of what Elon wrote back to the crew. Not only did he write back, what else can I do for you? What little things would you like to see to make work and coming to work more enjoyable? He not only wrote that to Tesla, he wrote that to the entire, I guess, Elon Musk organization, everything he's got out there, SpaceX and whatnot. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing, trying to, motivate people to be where they, in an environment that's extra special. So I wanted to unpack that a little bit. Joe, in real life, what little touches have you found that make going to a particular gig more special than others?
Post-production facilities back in the day,
Right.
and recording studios back in the day. Because these were big multi-million-dollar environments that had money to burn. So in either place, there were bowls of goodies all around that you could indulge in freely whenever you wanted to. And by that, I mean, like, there was a bit of honey, and there was potato chips, and there was popcorn. And it was around. And actually, some of the really high-end facilities, edit facilities, had somebody who that's her whole job, was she would come in with like trays of food while you were editing. She'd come in with snacks. She would just, all of a sudden, the door would open, and she'd come in with a tray, and it was awesome. I mean, that's why most editors of the day are big guys, because
Fantastic.
you just sit and eat all day, and it's great food. They all had kitchens. Some of these places had like 5-star kitchens and chefs who just cooked all day.
Wow.
Because, they're 24 hours, so you could be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, even in the recording studios. It's 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Nobody wants to go anywhere. So that's how they kept you in your little cubby and kept you happy.
Yeah.
If
That went away with why you don't even get peanuts on an air flight anymore.
well, that's a whole.
Because that just, they realize it's ridiculous to treat people nice.
If she had a name, might have it been Snacktress?
Okay, so moving on. If you think I'm going to play with names in today's world,
No, I'm surprised.
I'm not biting. I am not biting.
God.
You're not getting me anywhere near that subject.
Frank, what would be one of your, wow, I love going to blah, blah, blah because of this little extra thing?
I actually was just talking about this with
Really?
someone who, when HBO still did boxing. I don't know why I keep talking about boxing, but I literally just had this conversation the other day. I hadn't seen him in years, and he was on this show also. But when we were, he was like, "Oh yeah, I think we worked HBO boxing," and then we got into the conversation of how he missed that, and like the crew was just great, but it was also like they always had like, I mean, going back to catering, this is always gonna. I think we had this conversation a few episodes ago. Like that's always going to keep a crew happy, and it's something that people would always talk about, whether it's good or bad. So that's why you got to make sure that it's good. They always they would at least when they would come to MSG, they would they would always like rent out a restaurant, like a part of the restaurant across the street for the crew meal, and it was like a phenomenal restaurant right in Midtown. Plus, on top of that, they're crafty, their craft services. It was just like snacks, like Joe was saying in the recording studios or edit suites and stuff like that, post production houses. It's the same thing on site. They bring that same mentality to to an actual arena or a stadium or wherever that fight or whatever the event happens to be. And some networks are much better than others.
Mm-hmm.
Some are not good at all. So yeah, I mean that's definitely the
That's
thing, yeah.
Back to food, right? We're back to food and catering.
Yeah.
Quick story about catering and taking care of your people. The Pentagon had to come up with another plan because when something was going on, like some sort of craziness in the world, and everybody would have to stay, they would start ordering pizza, and literally spies who watched the Pentagon would get tipped off because of all the pizza delivery coming. They would almost know how big of a whatever it was because of the amount of people they were estimating on pizza boxes, which is just completely nuts. So that little thing ended by opening up a pizzeria within the Pentagon. So
There you go.
nobody knew, and that ended that. Gloss, speaking of Pentagon, let's take the government and move that over and go to the corporate world. You've worked corporate, you've worked at CNN, other big companies. Is the little things that you enjoy found in the break room?
Man, it's always food. It's so funny. We keep going back to it, but I've never seen a crew happier in my life than when their superiors bring in a whole bunch of pizza or sandwiches and whatever. I guess working on a full stomach's better than working on an empty stomach. But I feel like whenever I work with Frank, and I don't know why, I just want to bring this up. Frank, you always say to me, you're like, I can't eat until the job's done. Like I need to finish working before I eat. And I always found that to be like crazy because most places I work, the happier the crew is, they're usually fed and they get fed. So I always thought that was funny. But yeah, Lou, I think it's just food, man. We just keep going back to food. But because that makes me happy too. I like to
And
eat.
what's really funny about this whole thing is Joe, who enjoys food very much, when
Everyone
he's
enjoys
working, as you guys know, there's no food. He forgets about it. He's so right, Joe. You're so focused on work and
Like
the
father,
task,
like son.
right? Just no food. Don't even think of. Then he'll say in the middle of the day, hours after lunch, "Oh, geez, I forgot to offer you guys lunch." Not that he wouldn't ever not offer. It's just that he's busy and he's focused. Hilarious.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm sure it's a Scotch Ferro. We've been raised that way, and it's not just me; it's prior to me. And then I'm going to be really stereotypical here. I'm sure it's a very Italian thing, because your day ends with your meal. If you go to Italy, nobody eats before 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And that's your day, and then you're done, and then you chill, and then you do whatever. So eating in the middle is just always screws me up. I've not been built that way.
Yeah, we
don't-
usually
I
have
don't.
like there's like post show meals, but like with me, usually like whatever I'm doing is usually one of the last things. And I mean like on like travel big shows, not like local stuff. They don't really have that. But like like a Jitticam is going to take 3 hours to break down, and like usually other people, the handheld guys or whatever, they'll go right to the truck, and like usually it's pizza or sandwiches or something like that. That's like quick and you can go eat and you hang out for a little bit. But like I'd rather get everything I need to get done, not think about it, take that 3 hours and then go eat a slice of cold pizza and then go back to my hotel room and go to sleep.
There you go. All right, so let's take these little things that we've just discussed that already exist, and let's say you can add to that list. So, Joe, what would you say is, oh man, at this gig here, if they only had this thing, it would be really awesome. I'd like to add this to the fantasy list of little things, but it has to exist in the world.
If I could bring my dogs with me to work,
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good.
that's
gotta
it.
get
That's
one of
all
the-
I need. Everything else I got, but I miss my dogs while I'm working. So if they could be there with me,
Yeah.
and in Triple S, my dog was. She went to work with me every single day. She was in my van. She sat in my office. But when I'm in somebody else's massive facilities, they get really upset when you bring your dogs into them.
Yeah, and they're not small dogs. They're
No, they are not.
Right? Picture Joe with a little.
Dr. Evil cat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Frank, would the little thing you would like be a Dr. Evil Cat? Is there something across all your
No.
gigs? What would it be?
No, and this isn't a little thing, but it is something that does exist, and I got used to it because it was when I first started traveling was with the New York Giants, and it was the way that we traveled. The way that we traveled was you don't go in the airport. They have a charter plane, and you travel. You drive buses right up to the plane, and you get off on the tarmac, and you walk onto the plane like that. And it's like, I mean, I was traveling when I was 17 with them for the first time, and did that for 5 years, more than that. And then when I started traveling to this other stuff, and I'm like, I have to go into the airport and like wait in line, and then not like sit with like not somebody sitting next to me, and like it's just a completely different way of traveling. So if every network offered that, or every job that I had offered that, that would be the little thing that I would hope for, or at least first class.
That is such a fantastic story, because picture this. This is a 17-year-old, not now, but Frank at 17 talking about private jet flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, and Lou,
No,
this
it's a
is
And then it goes back to the food thing, because that's all it was. It was just constant food, snacks, drinks, anything you want. You can get up and go hang out in the back and like just get whatever you want. It's not a regular flight.
and it's the whole event, because you're traveling with a police escort, so you blow through from, we leave the stadium and you blow through to the airport, but there's an escort that moves. Traffic out here is difficult. Everybody gets out of the way. You drive right down to the tarmac, as Frank said. You get out, you get on the plane. There's a flight attendant standing there with a tray of hamburgers and cheeseburgers. And you can just, as you're getting on, you sit down, you get your cheeseburger. Another flight attendant comes by, gives you snacks, big tray, pick whatever you want. And you're sitting there, and drinks, everything. And it's so funny because now, after COVID, and obviously we're not that intimate with the team anymore, but I was talking to people who still travel with them. They have to travel commercial because the team flies isolated. So nobody's allowed, unless there's a tier 1, which is, maybe very select people out of each department.
Right.
But everybody else has to travel commercially.
Wow. So you're talking about that bubble, right? That's COVID bubble.
Yeah, because of the COVID bubble and that whole isolation, which still exists. And it was so funny listening to them complain. Like, this is killing me. I have to go down to the airport. I got to wait in line. We came back from London, and I have no stamp in my passport from London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just walked us straight through.
Private travel, private jets are
but
amazing.
it's a pleasant experience.
Oh, so let's go to Gloss. Gloss, the urban visual helicopter. I know you guys don't have a jet yet,
Almost. We're getting
but
there.
the urban visual chopper.
Yeah.
What advice, Gloss, seriously, would you give a business owner that you would say, you know what, I'm going to provide this little thing I don't have to, as a little perk to get people to really enjoy working here? Do you have something in your head, or?
Well, real quick, I maybe the flight attendant with the hamburgers and cheeseburgers to keep the crew motivated, and ready to go. But no, I don't know. I mean, I guess. What do you mean, like in terms of keeping people that work with me happy, or just me in general?
Like as a business person, I like to have Swedish fish. That's a good thing in the candy jar for everybody. I mean, I'm really trivializing it, but.
Well, maybe if I ever get into a studio space, I would want it to the tech. I would want like there to be cool, gear and tech to play with. I want, because that's what I like. I like playing around with different type of technologies and trying out different gear and testing things and seeing what works well in different situations. So I think creators like to play with new gear all the time. So I would say having an environment that allows you to be creative and allows people that are coming in and working with you to kind of, do what you do in a creative way by experimenting with different kinds of gear and equipment.
Yeah, that's a
I would've
great.
thought
I'm
you
going to
would've
flip
said-
I'm
I
going to
would've thought you
flip the
would've
mic
said
on.
Star
I'm
Wars
sorry,
Week.
Frank. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I thought he would have just said have like Star Wars week, and you can dress up as a different character every
I was
day.
getting to that. I didn't get to that yet. Part of my
That-
gear in my
I think
studio
that's
is
just
going to
a
be
known.
the whole Star Wars, the whole shit ton of Star Wars.
Lou, I'm going to flip the mic on you for a second because
Go.
you could actually join in this subject.
Yes, yeah.
So working in big-time corporate environments,
Yes.
like big corporate
Yes.
environments,
Yes.
and you had to travel a lot.
Yep.
What was your favorite part of working in those environments?
The slippers on the plane.
Did you take them?
Take them. I had them initialed. I had a Ralph Lauren. was fantastic.
Oh, they're like personal ones,
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
they hand them to you when you get
Oh
on.
no, they were in storage, and it was part of my rider. No white
Wow,
M&Ms.
you had a
none of that.
rider.
I just need my slippers. No, I didn't have a rider. I wish I did. No,
But the environment that you worked in, at the high level executives for a massive company. Can I say the company?
no, yes, of course.
Okay. So when you were executive at American Express,
Yes.
and you got to do things and be places, you traveled, the places you stayed at.
Yep.
When you didn't have that, was that an expectation or was that an elevation that you got excited about?
When I didn't have it, when I had it, when it was awesome because number one, it was unique about American Express because American Express is a huge travel company, so we got a lot of benefits out of that just alone. So if you weren't even an executive at the firm, you got a lot of benefits because the hotels want you to be in good favor. They want to be in good favor with American Express. So all I had to say was, here's I had my card out. I was gonna anyway. I'm an American Express, this and that, and then you got upgrades and all this other crap. Not because you're an executive so much, but because they wanted to be in good favor with American Express. And when it wasn't around, it really wasn't that much not around because you learn the game and you can always do it,
Yeah.
But back to the private jet stuff, you once that's over, it's over. So
I would say a small realistic thing that I would add to this list would be, and like you better believe we will have one like when we have our big office and studio and small break room and whatever, there will be a pool table in there 100%.
really
Has to
interesting.
be.
If there was a pool table in every break room in any network I ever worked in, I would love going there even more.
I have one advantage that none of you have had. I've worked out in Silicon Valley. So those environments where now that it's just everybody knows it and everybody does it. But back then, these were companies that were run by young people and they were freaky. So there was stuff in those places that you walked in and there was not just a pool table, but a pool. And over there was a basketball court. And over there was hopscotch. And over there was a candy machine. And over there was that crane machine that came down and grabbed stuff.
You're telling me, so you're building big tech for groundbreaking tech for the world to advance on, and then in your downtime you're over there throwing rocks and playing hopscotch.
Playing hopscotch.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely 100%.
That's
Oh my
fantastic.
God.
And what's so funny is everybody thinks they invented that, but if you read history, go back and everybody, go read 3M's history. Go read Bell Labs' history.
Yeah.
They invented hopscotch?
They invented hopscotch. They also invented that machine with the crane that goes down and picks up stuff and brings it over and drops it.
You guys are out of your minds.
It's actually funny, Joe. If you guys ever seen the show Silicon Valley, they talk about that exactly what you just said, Joe.
Yeah.
It's like we have the most ridiculous things because we want our employees to have a good work experience, and they have like nap pods. You know what I'm talking about? And they have like
All that
lights.
it was real.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you weren't confined to, I'm on my break, I could go do that.
Yeah.
If you were in the middle of
You can
working,
play hopscotch
it
and
felt
write code at the same time.
if you were busting out, because but you would work 24/7, whatever it was, and you'd want to go play. So you want to ride your unicycle around in the area, in the lobby. Okay.
Unicycle. You know what's cool? Frank and I actually worked at MLB for a little bit, and I think we actually showed up early one time because we wanted to go in the MLB baseball studio, the one that actually looks like a baseball diamond, and play wiffle ball. So we wanted to, that made us want to be there, so that's kind of an interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only downside of their break room, they only had a ping pong table.
Ping
They didn't have a
pong,
pool
yeah.
table.
That got dangerous at some point.
And you know what? When we get that
Back to you, Lou.
when we get that break room, I am actually going to bring my personal unicycle in.
Okay.
All right.
Do you ride the unicycle with the slippers on?
No, scuffs.
Oh,
They're velvet.
very nice. That's
They're
a nice one.
velvet.
Very nice.
They're
Yes,
velvet.
Velvet.
No slippers and a unicycle. You need sturdy feet. Unicycles are hard to ride, especially now.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah, I'm not 175 pounds like high school.
Oh, I thought you meant like in today's world.
No.
Today's unicycle.
Oh, you say you mean during COVID you can't ride a unicycle?
It's not environmental. It's statutory physicalness. That's what
Okay.
it is. All right,
All right,
kick
back
up
to you,
the-
Lou.
Let's kick up the little things to the next level and then wrap up the show. We've got 5 minutes left. I want to know if there was a little thing that you can create to make work even better, what would it be? I don't care what it is. It doesn't even have to exist in the world today. Joe, you start.
I already used my dogs.
Yeah.
Tell me it doesn't exist though.
Doesn't.
I know. Wow, that's a stumper.
All right, we'll go to
You got to
Frank.
give me back.
Frank?
I'll come back next week and tell you.
Okay, Frank.
Teleportation.
Teleportation.
Oh, good one.
Damn, I was gonna say that, Frank. How'd
Don't you
know?
worry.
I swear to God, I was. I don't want to sit in traffic because we were just talking about it. It's like if I
So,
can
yeah,
teleport right
traffic-
to work.
All right, so
Anything.
You can wake up
Traveling, anything.
5 minutes before you have to be at work. Well, if you sleep in your clothes. I don't sleep in my clothes, but you get up, you just go and you're there. You don't have to plan an hour to commute.
that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'm going to piggyback teleportation. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Teleportation.
I hate commuting.
There's got
Hate
to be
commuting.
now. There's got to be a teleportation manager, right? Because you guys have to know when to teleport for call time.
Absolutely.
And there's also got to be, I mean, you can't, everyone, I'm sure there's like certain lines that, everybody can't be used. You get crossed and you can end up in a different place.
You can't
That's
clog up
true.
the teleportation lines. That's rule number one. Always has been. Always has been.
Accidentally show up at the one job.
No.
It's always about
But then-
bandwidth.
And that would
Always
also make
about
double,
bandwidth.
that would always also make double dipping a lot easier.
True that,
You're
right?
right.
But you know what else you'd lose, Frank? You'd lose travel days.
Ah,
Oh, damn. Real.
Yeah.
We'll turn into like teleportation days.
Yeah.
But what
Well,
about
no,
what
'cause
about
if
the
they
zip
can get
line?
you there in
What about the zip line we've been talking about for years from New York to Jersey?
that's a good one.
Like
That's a good
both
one.
ways. It's kind of
That's a
dangerous,
good one.
but I don't know if you'd have to hold on or be strapped in. But that's
I don't know, doing that in the winter?
Ooh.
Pretty cold.
Just bundle up a little bit. You'll be fine. You
Yeah.
get a little windburn on your face, but you get to work. fast.
Gentlemen, you are an amazing group. You have amazing thoughts. Thank you for sharing them with us today. And I will see you all next time on Crew Call.
See you, Lou.
See you, Lou.